Welcome to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast, where we share tips, techniques, and true stories to support you in using the law of attraction and alchemy to create magic and live the life of your dreams. Here's your host, the founder of dailyalchemy.com, Michelle Martin Dobbins.
Hey there, it is Michelle Martin Dobbins from dailyalchemy.com. And if you haven't been by my website, I invite you to come by, and there are some nice freebie goodies. I have a freebie vault full of all kinds of PDF planners for manifesting planners and moon manifesting planners and love lists and all kinds of fun goodies. But for now, I want to talk to you about having it all. And it's kind of funny because I'm talking to you about having it all during the season of Lent. And I had actually thought about talking about Lent a little bit. And I don't know, I just got kind of off kilter on that. I am doing Lent my own way, but I'm not going to talk about that in this podcast. I may share about it a little bit later, but this just has been coming up for me so much in so many ways. And this podcast is actually a little class here for you. I don't usually say this, but you may want to take some notes, and there is going to be an assignment at the end. And sometimes I give you guys some little suggestions of things that you can do and try. But this is like a serious full out assignment, and I'm not going to say this lightly. I'm going to talk to you about things that I've learned from two other teachers, one several years in the past, probably 8 to 10 years ago, and one just recently that have made a huge impact on my life. And so if you play with these concepts, they can really alter your life in a good way. So I invite you to, if you're driving or you're walking your dog, that's cool, but you may want to come back to this and take some notes. And I'm not even saying that because I'm going to say something inspirational, but because I'm going to share with you some inspirational things that I learned from some other teachers. But from that, I have an assignment that I'm working on myself. And I'll be honest, I think it is an assignment that can benefit anybody to do. And I'm not asking you to give up your Lent if you do Lent to do that. But I am going to talk to you about having it all, except for whatever you gave up for Lent, if you did. But because, that's part of the human condition, right? Is desire. We all desire things. And I've never been one I'm not a Buddhist expert by any means, but I know there are some religious aspects where it's your goal is to give up all desires. And that's not my goal. And to me, the desire to not have desires is in itself a desire. But I get what they're getting at. But personally, to me, the gift of being alive is the joy in experiencing our desires and experiencing pleasure. I actually have a blog post about, are you experiencing enough pleasure? And it was written a while back, so I don't remember the quote exactly, but it basically talks about I think it's in some Islamic texts where it says that, you will be called to account to God for the pleasures that you were given and that you did not indulge in. And that's totally my paraphrase there. But that's not to say that we need to be totally hedonistic and overindulge, but life it's beautiful, folks. I mean, I know there is crazy stuff happening in the world, but you got your yin, your yang, and look out there and just, look at the sun. Where I live, spring is coming. Flowers are starting to bloom. Grass is starting to green up. And, and if you live in a part of the world where it's getting cold and the frost is coming and the ice is coming and the snow is coming, it's magical too. You just have to open your eyes and you will see things worth having in this world. And the nice thing is you've already got some of them, right? So I'm getting off on a crazy tangent here. So I'm going to stick. I do have notes because there are things that I definitely did not want to forget to tell you. And also that I have this assignment for you and for me. Okay, so the first teacher that I want to talk to you about that really brought something up with me about having is Hale Dwoskin. And if you're not familiar with Hale, he works with the Sedona Method. He is not the person who invented it. That was Lester Levinson. But he was a student of Lester's, and he kind of took it on after Lester's death. And if you're not familiar with the Sedona Method, it's a letting go method, and it's really good. I've used it on and off for years. I did their whole cassette program, I believe. It might have been a CD, but it's been a while back since I did it. So it's great. But the thing that he talked about in one of his talks that was in the long Sedona Method, which is good, it's great, it's wonderful, but his book, just the book called the Sedona Method, it's got this white-orange cover. I'll try to put a link to it in the show notes. That's a great place to start, or his website. It walks you through it all for free. And then if you want to get deeper, you can always buy their courses, or I know he gives classes and workshops and whatnot. But he's wonderful. But in this CD, he talks, the Sedona Method is the letting go method. And, he is working this method for a long time. And when he was married, he has the business with the Sedona Method, and he had a lot, right? When it talked about having it all, yeah, he did, but his wife, I think he was maybe taking it too seriously, and this has been years since I listened to it, so I'm kind of paraphrasing and giving you the essence of what I got from it. But his wife was like, yo, why are you working so hard at this? Why are you taking this so seriously? Why do you keep trying to have more? Don't you have enough? I mean, our life is rich. Don't you have enough? And he was like, well, let me think about that, and he looked around and he decided, wow, yeah, I have everything I wanted. And yeah, I have enough. I do. If this is it, I have enough. And of course, he was doing that from a pretty rich place, and maybe it's easier to do that from a rich place. But and that's not to say that he's never going to have any more desires, right? But to have that feeling in the pit of your gut, hey, yeah, I have enough. And I've worked with that thought because I think it's such a beautiful thought. And, I want more things. I do. I have desires of lots of adventures and things I would like to experience in my life. But if I look at where I am and what I've done and just this moment in time, I can get on board with that. Yeah, I have enough. And so I know if you're not in that really good space now, it might be a little bit trickier to do this. But you may want to play with it just a little bit. And if it just you're like, yeah, no, I don't have a job. I just got divorced. I don't have enough. Just put this on the shelf for later. But it's a powerful exercise. It was very powerful for me at the time I did it. But here's what I'm going to tell you about what happened to him when he did this. He decided, that, yeah, I was taking it too seriously and, working too hard at having more stuff. And he decided to just kind of really focus in on that feeling of, I have enough. And when he did that, he said that something crazy happened. And that crazy thing that happened was he got more. He said, I have enough. And he got more. And he's like, I wasn't trying to make more. I was just really trying to I have, just be at peace with that feeling of having enough. But if you think about it in a law of attraction sense, when you feel that you have enough, then whatever that next thing is that you desire is going to be really easy for it to get to you because you have that vibration of having and having enough and having what you need and having what you want. And so that puts you in resonance with what you want next. Even if you're just kind of not, there's not that gripping, reaching, I need to have it. Desires are going to come up for everybody. But if it's just like, I already have enough, but it'd be kind of fun to have this. It's so much easier than I need this, I want this. I just, that grasping, reaching desperation. So that for me was just profound at the time. And I have revisited that exercise a lot. And, it's something I teach in a lot of my classes, like stepping into being that person who has what you want to have. Because I've experienced firsthand in my life the power of having the vibration of havingness. And I've also experienced the opposite. So I've worked it both ways. I've, sat there and told myself, I don't have this, and it did not get me where I wanted to go. So that's okay too. Like it's all part of the journey. So wherever you are is perfect and beautiful and wonderful for right now. So that's kind of where I was with that energy of having versus wanting. So it's something that I would invite you to maybe meditate on yourself and just play with it and try to feel like, what does it feel like to have something? And it's pretty easy, right? I mean, you can look in your closet and say, oh, I know what it feels like to have a pair of red high heels because they're right there. And just feel into I have it. And, probably pick something that you have that you really like, that you really wanted, and just kind of vibrate on that feeling. What does it feel like in my body to have that thing? And then think about something that you want and what does it feel like to want it? Maybe go back and forth a little bit and you will feel like those are very distinctly different feelings and sensations in our body, the feeling of having versus wanting. And, having feels a whole lot better than wanting. And wanting just doesn't really get us where we want to go. So, not that it's wrong to want anything, but if you want to continue to want, then you stick with the wanting. But if you want to have it, you have to have the vibration of having it or something similar that resonates with having what you're trying to get, whatever it is. So I'm going to shift a little bit into just recent times, maybe 6 months ago or something like that. I've been following someone online for a little while, but I heard her on an interview and something she said struck me. So I will not keep you in suspense. Her name is Carolyn Elliott. And if you go to her website, I will put a link. Her background banner says The Art of Having, which I love, The Art of Having. But she said something in an interview and I stopped. I was driving. I stopped and wrote it down. It is, up to me, quite a profound truth. And you may or may not like it, but I tell you what, there are times when I listen to stuff and it really strikes me. And when he talked about, that thing of just feeling like I have enough and the differences it made, it really struck me and stuck with me. When she said what she said, which is, and I'm going to try to get it right because I wrote it down in all my notes. I didn't write that. But having is evidence of wanting, which would seem like it's very different from what he said, right? Having is evidence of wanting. But to me, that was very profound because there are some things in my life that I'm like, this isn't quite what I want. What I have is not quite what I want. But I can see what she was talking about when she said that having is evidence of wanting, because you're thinking, well, I don't want this low-paying, crappy job. But maybe that low-paying, crappy job gives you some, I think we call it secondary benefits, right? Like, you don't have to work that hard. You just have to show up and get a paycheck. And maybe it's not a great paycheck, but I don't have to shine. I don't have to write reports. I don't have to make presentations in front of the group. So, okay, but I'm still going to complain about it. But there are some things about it that meet a need in me. And, even though I'm a believer in many ways of the law of attraction, I don't think it ever serves us to beat ourselves up for what is. and how it may have been. And I'm, certainly not going to go around and say that it's anybody's fault that they were a victim of a crime or that, they developed an illness. But when you're in something and it exists in your life right now, you have it, then the way to see why it's sticking around is to look at the parts of it that you might want, nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to have cancer, but maybe you get to take time off from work and your spouse is being very attentive and caring for you and your mom comes to visit you. And, there are secondary benefits to a lot of things that on the surface we don't want. But, I've done a lot of meditation around that after I heard Carolyn say that having is evidence of wanting. To me, it's just like really profound. And if it doesn't strike you the way it struck me, I would invite you to still write it down and come back to it at some point in time, because it's a deep truth. Just like I think what Hale said about, realizing that you have enough is a deep truth for opening you up to having more, which may seem like a paradox. Well, this is the same thing. Realizing that if you have it, you want it, is a way to open yourself up to making it easier to let go of the things that you have that you consciously don't want, by realizing that there is a part of your being that is holding on to it for some reason. And a lot of times it's an unconscious reason. And I'm not here to blame you for it, but I am here just to say I think she's incredibly wise in that statement, and it's made a deep impact on me. So I'm going to give you an assignment to do, but before I do, I want to go a little bit deeper into something that Carolyn shared with her newsletter list. And I'm going to give you a link in the show notes to her website so you can join her newsletter. And I don't share people's paid products and also don't necessarily share their free products. I'm not going to give you her product. This was a free exercise that she shared with her list, and I am not going to share that with you. It was a goal setting exercise, how to determine what goals, but I did want to share just like one little snippet from that. And if you want to get the rest of it, then you may want to sign up for her list. I don't know when she'll send it out again, but I think she probably will at some time because it was attached to another one of her products. But there was just one section of it that also struck me. So I'm not going to give you the goal setting list, but I do want to talk about one thing that she talked about, which is kind of like, it's the 4 quadrants, I would call it, of having and wanting and having, probably. It kind of reminded me of Stephen Covey's. If you're familiar with Stephen Covey, it's different, but in a way the same. Stephen Covey's The Habits of Highly Successful People, right? So there are 4 quadrants that he says, that we work in when we live. And one is like items that are not urgent and not important, like playing Farmville or Facebook in general, probably. They're not urgent, but they are important. They're not important, but they're urgent. That phone call that you have to answer right now, but, and the person who needs you right now, but really doesn't, or urgent and important. And, he would talk about how the one that makes the biggest difference in our life overall in our personal growth and who we are those things that are not urgent but important, like spending time with family or writing that book that we wanted to have or going back to school or learning French or doing those things that mean a lot to us and make us who we are. And we tend to stay out of that area and more in the things that are, the not urgent and not important are those things, like just vegging out on Netflix, like I said, playing games, whatever. We get in those. Obviously, if it's urgent and important, that's going to kibosh everything else. And then the things that that are urgent but not important. What am I skipping over here? Not urgent, not important. Sometimes we can get stuck in those a lot. Not important, but urgent and important. So yeah, in that ballpark, there's one quadrant where we can make the biggest change in our life, right? And a lot of times we get bogged down in the other ones. So in this, what Carolyn shared, the quadrants are a little bit different. And so I want to go ahead and share with you what those 4 quadrants are. And I think when I do, it'll be obvious to you which 2 we tend to get stuck in. The things that we want and we don't have. The things that we want and we do have. The things that we have and we don't want. And the things that we don't want and we don't have, which a lot of times we don't think about. So I think that one is really kind of fun and cool. So mostly the quadrants that we look at, I think most of us, we get stuck in the things that we don't have and we want, and the things that we have and we don't want, because those are where we want to make changes, right? Like, we don't have it, but we want it, so we're going to try to get it. We have it and we don't want it, like, a bad relationship, so we're going to try to get out of it or change it and make it better. And, just like with Stephen Covey, the ones that we're, easily drawn to work with aren't always the ones that are going to make the biggest difference in our life. And honestly, I think that in this case, with Stephen Covey, the quadrant that makes the big difference are the ones that are not urgent, but are important. And they're easy for us to put off because there's no urgency. Well, these 4 quadrants of the having and the wanting, I think the one that is most important is the things that we have and that we want. And it's ones that we tend to not focus on. We have it, we want it, woohoo, let's go after the next one, right? Well, to me, when we focus on the things that we have and that we want, that's like the richness of life. That's where the succulence is. That's where you come back to, are you indulging in the pleasures that you have been afforded in life? Okay? You want a child. Are you enjoying raising that child? Are you focusing on all the beautiful aspects of it? And I'm a parent of 4 kids, so believe me, I know that it's not all sunshine and roses being a parent. But, sometimes we forget, hey, we really wanted this experience. That's a big one. More on a smaller scale, like if you buy a hot tub or a sauna, or you move in a house with a swimming pool, and you're so excited to have it. Do you use it? Do you use it on a regular basis? I'm calling myself out. I have a pool in my backyard. Do I use it? I swam in it 3 or 4 times last summer. And so this summer I'm really making a commitment to when it's warm and summer heats up, I'm in the pool because I have the pool. I want the pool. I need to experience the havingness of it, right? And by the havingness, I don't just mean ownership. I mean, using it, enjoying it, being in the presence, the mindfulness of having it. I think sometimes this is what gets us into maybe not overindulging, but just you have this food, you eat it and you didn't experience it. So you eat more or you desire more because you're not having what you have. And I hope I'm making sense to you, but I feel like that's to me, that's the most important quadrant in this having wanting quadrant that Carolyn Elliott shows. And, not that they're not all important, but I really think by taking time in that quadrant, you can shift your vibration greatly in the same way that Hale shifted his vibration when he's like, hey, I have enough. But, if you're just collecting things and you're not really connected to the experience of having the thing or the experience of being in a relationship with a person or the experience in working in the job that you're in, then, it's just, I think it makes it so much harder to get more. And if you are having it, then you're not so worried about having more because you're like drinking up what you've already got. You've already got the full cabinet of all these exotic liqueurs. Another bottle could be cool, but does it matter so much? And, that might be a weird kind of analogy there, but just kind of popped into my mind, even though I'm not even a big drinker. But you get what I'm saying. If you're enjoying what you have, meaning if you like Forrest Gump, you have a box of chocolates and you either gobble them up so fast that you don't taste them, or you just stick them in a cabinet and think, oh, I shouldn't eat them, or and they turn all stale and get that white yucky coating on it that bad chocolate gets. Neither one of those is doing you a service. But if you're enjoying the chocolate and, every day you sit down and eat one and you really are present and you really, really fully taste it, then it makes it easier for you to get more chocolate, especially because you're not concerned about getting more chocolate because you already have chocolate. And, it's just, where do you think, have you heard the term, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? It's because the vibration that we live in, the space that we live in, we just keep perpetuating it. So if you want to have something more and different than what you have now, then have what you have now. So I have talked a lot today. I'm almost to the half an hour point, and I used to do a podcast and only could 5 minutes was killer. Some of you may wish that I would go back to that format, but I'm kind of trying to share more with you, and so I'm hoping that it's going to be beneficial. So if you are taking notes and if you aren't taking notes, this is a great time to write down. This is an assignment that I would like for you to think about. I would like for you to drop just for 1 week, worrying about the quadrant of the things that you want and you don't have, and that you have and that you don't want. Just set them on a shelf, okay? They will be there when you come back. But I want you to look at the other two, the one that I just talked about, the things that you want and that you have. How amazing is that? You little miracle worker, you. You wanted this and you have it. You have created it. So when you create something, when you bring something into your life and you enjoy the havingness of it and you use it and, you soak it up, then that tells the universe, in my opinion, that you really want the things that you want. And, I don't know about you, but if I give someone a box of chocolates and they throw them in the trash because they're too high calorie, then I'm probably not going to get them chocolates again. And this is, maybe a bad analogy, but if they're a person who's savoring the chocolate, oh my gosh, this chocolate is so good, I am enjoying it so much, and I see that they're enjoying it. Anytime you give someone something and they enjoy it, well, that makes you want to give them more. It's just common sense. So try to really appreciate, have what you have. So, and then the other thing is the things that you don't have and you don't want. Well, that's pretty darn cool too. And that's another one that had I not read Carolyn's work, I wouldn't be aware of. So I definitely want to be crediting her for teaching me these 4 quadrants. And as I said, she has some great exercises of how to set your goals with that. And that's not what I'm teaching you, because if you want to learn that and some of the other cool stuff, you got to go to her. And no, I'm not an affiliate for her. I just think she's pretty wise. I've learned a lot from her and her writings. So the assignment is, there are 2 parts. The first part is I want you to work in the quadrant of what you want to have that you already have, okay? So I want you to look for 3 things in your life that you want and that you have right now. If at all possible, do not go buy anything. I want you to look around your environment. you have internet access and you're listening to me. So I'm figuring that you have a few things that you want, and it doesn't have to be anything special or crazy, right? So I'm going to tell you what I did. I wanted to find 3 things that I have that I wanted to have and to really enjoy the havingness of them this week. And one that I chose is essential oils. I have a nice drawer full of some really good essential oils, and I love them. I love the way they smell. I love that they're natural. I love the energy and the vibration of them. So I don't diffuse them every day like I used to when I first started getting into oils. So got the diffuser on and it's diffusing, and I'm definitely going to make sure that for this week, I'm really, really going to enjoy the havingness of them. And hopefully I will continue to do that practice after this week, but it's something that we're really focusing on this week is just being really grateful that I have them, really enjoying the aroma of them and using them daily. I also have a candle that I bought in New Orleans, a beautiful candle, and I went to New Orleans a year ago and I hadn't burned it. So it's going to burn, baby, burn this week. And I'm going to really enjoy burning that candle. I think it's called the Spirit of Writing. It's a beautiful purple candle. And I'm going to light it up when I'm writing my blog posts and just enjoy the smell of it and enjoy the having of that candle that I wanted and I bought. And I didn't burn. And that is just a quick aside there. Like, it does no good to have things that you don't use. And if I'm not going to get off on a huge tangent about giving away things that you don't use. I teach that a lot. But, my grandparents have both passed away, and they both passed away with unused items. Things that they had, but they didn't have. My grandmother was laid to rest in a beautiful outfit that she never wore when she was alive. And she had a lot of other clothes with the tags on them in her closet that she never wore. My grandfather was the same way. He died, God bless him, I love him, wearing holy socks with brand new packs of socks in his drawer. Don't do that. Use what you have, and if you don't need it, pass it on. Okay, now I'm going to go back. The last thing that I'm using in my 3 things is I bought some really nice chocolate that is a very deep, dark chocolate, which I love, but it's specially made to be melted into like a sipping chocolate. And I have a special cup with a special saucer that I bought it on vacation to use for just such things. And the chocolate actually comes in like a pie shape, and you like snap off like a piece of the pie or like a pizza little triangle. And I've used 2 of the triangles, but I bought it. It's still good, but if I don't use it, it's not going to be. So this week, I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be melting me some chocolate, and I'm going to be having that chocolate, and I'm going to be sipping it out of that special little cup, and it's going to be marvelous. Okay, sorry about my dogs in the background going crazy. So that's your that's your first assignment, right? 3 things that you want and that you have them. Have them deeply. Okay. The second part is 3 things that you don't want and you don't have. Okay, guys. Sorry, if you heard my dogs go a little bit nutty, that was because my husband came home and they got really excited. So I had to stop and restart. But I was saying, I do believe that your first assignment was to do to find 3 things that you want and that you have and to have them. And the second part is in that thing of 3 things that you don't want and you don't have, right? It seems kind of crazy, like you don't have a bad relationship. You don't want a bad relationship, right? You want a good one. So if you have a good relationship and you're thankful for that, then maybe what you might want to do, and I guess I'm trying to think of what the word is, but just, it's almost, maybe it does kind of go with Lent, almost like a sacrifice or a penance or a gratitude, as a gratitude that you don't have those things, to reach out to someone who does have those things that you don't want. So you don't have a bad relationship. You're not being abused. You may want to volunteer at the local women's shelter or just donate some money there. A great way to find people who have all kinds of stuff that you don't want is to go to GoFundMe. A lot of you have probably heard of this, and I've donated a lot, and I'm sure a lot of you have, like I had a friend over the holidays, 2 friends actually who were married that I went to high school with whose house burned to the ground. They had a GoFundMe. I've had some friends who've had cancer or illnesses, some family members who've done GoFundMes. So that's a great way to show gratitude for things that you don't have, that you won't want that somebody else does, is, just go. You think even $5. And to me, like, giving to people that you do know it's wonderful. But what's a kind of even more fun is doing that kind of random act of kindness, except for in this case, you're not really doing random. You're picking something that you don't want and you don't have to show gratitude for. But when you're doing it for a stranger who's suffering something that you don't want to have, and you're very grateful that you don't, it's a nice, fun little way to bless someone. You can even do it anonymously on GoFundMe. And like I said, I know not everybody has a lot of cash to share, and that is fine. You can do a small amount, and you don't have to do GoFundMe. And in fact, I'm going to recommend that you think about maybe at least one of the 3 to connect with an actual live person in real life. It's so much easier for us to just pop online and do it. And that's, if that's what works for you, that's fine. But what if you have a friend who has a brand new baby, and the last thing that you would like is a brand new baby? It's okay, right? They have something that you don't want. Well, maybe you could say, hey, I know you're really tired. Like, why don't I come over and clean up your kitchen and watch your baby nap while you take a nap and give you a break for an hour? Or maybe some of your neighbors have dogs, and the last thing you want is a dog, but maybe you could offer to walk their dogs. Maybe you're not suffering from hunger, and so you can go give a meal to a homeless person, or donate. Actually, there's some charities that feed children. But I do I like the thought of actually connecting with a person. But, I understand time constraint, and do what feels right to you. If you know someone who's lonely and you're lucky that you're not lonely, maybe make a phone call to a friend who just got divorced and they might be lonely or sad, and they are, going through something, they're having something that you don't want to have. There's so many ways to do this, and it may seem strange, but to me, giving gratitude for not having things that we don't want to have, it's also a great vibration to get into. I just think that working in these 2 quadrants, which, the other 2, getting rid of things that we have that we don't want, or getting things that we want that we don't have, sometimes they seem hard, right? That's hard work. That's pushing. But it's really easy. It's really easy if you do it, to have the things that you have, and to be grateful for the things that you don't have, that you don't want. It's doable. A lot of times we don't do it, but it's very doable. And to me, feeling the feeling that we have what we want and we don't have what we don't want is a powerful vibration to cultivate in our lives. It's a game changer, folks. It really is. So there you have it. I did put in the show notes a link to Hale Dwoskin and the Sedona Method, his website, about that, and also to Carolyn Elliott's, because as I said, they're both the inspiration behind this podcast. And I just invite you to actually do this assignment this week, just to put on the shelf, trying to get stuff or get rid of stuff, and just look at what is or isn't in your life that is perfectly wonderful right now. And I would love, love, love to hear how this assignment goes for you. So you can reach me at dailyalchemy.com. There are links there to send me emails. And I will be honest, I'm checking my emails a lot less lately now. I'm looking at them maybe once a week. But also, you can get me on Facebook. You can get me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all those good places. And I am delighted to hear from you and delighted to hear about what you have in your life that you love. So go out, create some magic, enjoy all the magic you've already created, all the magic that you already have, and you have a lot. You really do. So go out and enjoy it today, and I will talk to you next time. Namaste and big hugs. Would you like some help creating more magic in your life? I've got a ton of freebies and goodies for you. They're all tucked away inside my magical freebie vault. You can get free access, though. You just have to go to www.dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault. Again, that's dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault. And when you get there, you can just plug in your name and email and you will get instant access to all kinds of goodies. There are daily and weekly manifesting planners, the How to Shift Your Vibe in 5 Minutes e-kit that has audios and a workbook. There are moon manifesting planners and daily love lists and money trackers and all kinds of goodies right there. I didn't want to make you have to go to a bunch of different pages and sites and wait for certain freebies to come out. So I just took all of my freebies and put them in one place where you could just sign up one time and download any of them that you want at any time that you needed. So you can just head on over to dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault and download them today. Have a magical day.
Thanks for listening to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast. Connect with me on thedailyalchemy.com or Facebook at facebook.com/Michelle Dobbins, author. Join us next time for even more magical life tips.